What's going on, guys? So today I'm going to be making a fire with the Zippo tool, fire starter tool. This is the Surefire, and right now I'm just looking to get a piece of wood that's already dead. Looks like this might actually do just fine. Make sure it's not rotten. All right, so we're going to try the saw here first. This is what they advertise to get some wood. All right, so we're going to give this a shot. Pull that bail back. Hopefully you guys get a view of this. And of course you could probably just snap this, but we're trying it out anyway. Towards the end here, it's getting sticky. Doesn't want to cut through very easily. There we go. All right, well, there's the saw blade. I mean, it started off pretty good, but then, you know, towards the end when I'm pulling back, I wanted to close a little bit. Now, for something this size here, obviously you can just snap it if you need to. I don't know how effective the saw really is, but I want to try it out anyway. We're going to go to the fire. Just chopped up some wood, and we're going to see how this fire starter works. All right, but before we start the fire starter, I want to try this. This seems interesting. This is supposed to give you some small stuff, a little tinder to light. So let's go try that. All right, guys, so I'm down by the fire here. Gonna make a little bit of like an upside down fire, but just kind of playing around with this tool. Now what's interesting, as I just showed, is this piece here. I've never done this before. This is supposed to shave basically your wood so that you have something smaller to work with, your little bit of tinder. So I don't know what direction. That obviously doesn't work. Oh, that works. That actually works really well. Let me try to get this concentrated into a little pile. It's definitely shaving a lot of fine little stuff. You know the best way to hold this. Maybe like that. It's almost like grating Parmesan cheese. I am shocked. This works really, really well. I really thought this was a total gimmick. You can see that there's just these little cutouts that are raised, but that's digging into this wood with not a whole lot of force. All right, let's put the tool aside for a second here. Try to concentrate some of this so I can catch a spark. Pretty cool. I actually found a little nest a mouse must have made, so I'm gonna keep that on standby. Once I get the fire going, I'll use that. Just trying to get the rest of this little bits off, but yeah, that seemed to work really well. All right, so on the side here we have our striking wheel. If this doesn't work, this is some fire cord in here. It's supposed to catch a spark very nicely as well. So let's see if this works just by itself. Of course, this is all good dry wood. Huh. Well, it's not catching the spark easily. It's got to be kind of more that dust. I mean, the second this starts to light, I feel like it's going to go up very easily, but you have to get it to start. That's the point, right? All right, well, let's go ahead and take this fire cord off. Try that out. Actually unwrapped quite easily. All right, so now we use our blade. Let's put this tool away first. Use our blade here. Cut a little piece of that off. And blade sharp. There's no point, like physical point on that, but seem to cut it okay. This cord off to the side. Shimmy this open. And this red piece inside should be good to go. I might as well throw those there. Let's rough this up a little bit. Pull this apart. Try to expose some of those fibers so I can get this to catch easy. All right, let's try that. All right. Well, throwing sparks directly on it. Quite a bit of sparks. I can smell it and I can see it's getting charred. Maybe I didn't rough it up enough. Try to really pull it apart. There we go, that's a little better. Let's try that. Not super fond of this design, how this arm is to light. All right, well, I'm gonna fluff this up more. Trying to get all those little fibers. It's kind of covered in wax. It's supposed to help continue that burn, you know. So once it lights, it stays lit for a little bit. There we go. Okay, then we got the little stuff. Little kindling. Use some of this now. There we go. All right, guys, that fire was a total success. Sat out here for about 2 or 3 hours with my parents and my wife and had a wonderful time just talking. It is a clear sky tonight, so you can see all the stars. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. But it was just really cool. Very, very fun time. So the Zippo fire starter worked, but it's far from my first choice. So I'm going to probably end the video here. Actually, now that the fire's starting to die down, I have a bunch of cardboard to burn. So I might as well grab that while I'm talking here. And I'm going to do a tabletop. So throw that on there. I'm going to do a tabletop talking about this a little bit more in detail, all the different aspects of the fire starting system, what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it, and go into more details. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Just gonna burn some garbage here and call it a night. Oh yeah, nice and warm again. Anyway, I'm gonna call it a night, and I will see you guys in, well, I'll see you tomorrow, but in just a couple seconds here, we're going to switch to tabletop and talk about this Zippo fire starter a little bit more, that Surefire tool. All right, so I just want to do a recap on this tool. Looking at the side tools that pull out, we have our saw. The saw did work. It worked fairly well. My issue is that it's a small saw, so you're only cutting branches that are very small, and in most cases you could probably break them. Now realistically, to conserve energy, you can saw just a little bit through, almost like notch it out. So this way you have a weaker spot where you can actually snap it. If you're doing this consistently, branch after branch, that's what you would do. You wouldn't sit there and try to, you know, saw through the branch completely every time. So, I mean, the saw works, but again, for its practical use, it's kind of low on practicability. We have a bottle opener here and a small flathead screwdriver. Didn't even attempt to try the screwdriver. Pretty much every bottle opener I've ever had worked, but obviously that's not super important. There's a million ways you can open a bottle with no tools. Now, as I mentioned before, it is sharp. However, there's no point on here. Okay, so it's literally dull at the tip. So you can't really dig into anything. Not that it matters that much because these are just little slip joint blades. They do not lock. If you were putting a lot of pressure forward, it's always a chance that it can slip down and maybe cut you. All right, but you know, it does work to cut the fire cord, which is what I needed it for. So I mean, those are the tools in here. The fire cord itself, I definitely could have preserved it better. I ended up using half the cord. The other half of the cord I left at the campfire. I just totally forgot about it, to be honest. If you really want to use this multiple times, you can just unravel you know, a small half-inch piece at the end, cut that, and again, be much more conservative with how much you use at once. It was effective. That's actually how we got our fire started, which was disappointing. And I'll tell you why. First off, let me talk about this, you know, kind of wood grater tool. This thing is really interesting, and I really like it, and it did work. It created a lot of small tinder. The problem with this tool is that our, you know, spark wheel and flint, this is just a traditional Zippo or lighter spark wheel and flint. Now looking at the spark wheel here, I just don't like the design overall. You can see with this tool totally closed, it's up here, right? But as you're pushing it, you're pushing this tool out. So you're trying to get pressure to actually create a spark, and it's just not stable. It's not very comfortable to use. And ultimately, it failed. It failed in that the spark that's created from a regular flint, from a regular lighter, is not hot enough to just catch and light very easily. I'm sure if you sat there and you got the right situation, if I create a lot more dust, a lot more like very, very small wood particles, maybe it would have caught and started a fire, but it's just not hot like you would have in a Ferrocium rod where you're really throwing a lot of big hot sparks. So this type of spark that's created is not very good with the type of you know, tinder that you're creating with this, you know, shaving tool. Ultimately, we really did need that fire cord to actually get it started. All right, so I'm going to say that this tool is neat, and I love that there's a Zippo logo on there, and this is staying in my Zippo collection just as an oddball item. And Zippo as a company has really focused on a lot of outdoor stuff with their hand warmers and fire starters, and I think it's really cool. There's no loss in trying different things. We all know their lighters are awesome and they work. But I definitely wouldn't recommend this. I would absolutely not rely on this to create fire. I think it's very inferior. I think, you know, it's not amazing quality either. With continuous use, I would definitely see some of these tools failing and breaking. So unfortunately, that's the Zippo Surefire fire starter. If you go to their website, it is out of stock. And to be honest, I'm not sure if they're even going to like just discontinue it. You know, sometimes you try something, it doesn't work out. But the reason I got it is because I kind of figured this wouldn't work out. Just looking at the tools, I thought that's not something that's really going to last. Some of their little compact fire starters that have like, you know, the waxed cotton that's in it, those little squares, you know, those things are a little bit cooler, a little bit more practical, but again, you have to keep buying those squares as you use it. You want something that's, you know, lasts a very long time to make, you know, hundreds of fires. But, you know, it is what it is. I think it's still cool. I think it's going to be a little piece of Zippo history, but I think it's going to be easily forgotten. And as the years go by, people aren't even going to know this thing exists. That's why I want it for my collection. But as a fire starter, absolutely not. It stinks. So I would not recommend it. I want to say it was like $20 too. I bought it direct from Zippo. I have not seen it available at any stores or anything. Let me know down in the comment section if you ended up getting one of these things, but I have a pretty strong feeling that I'm the only person that I know that has one. I don't think it was very popular, and again, it's probably discontinued if I had to guess. I just don't see them running with this one. Maybe some other stuff in the future. You're much better off with a regular Zippo lighter, as long as you keep fluid in there long enough so that it lasts. That will definitely start a fire way better than this tool. So that's all for now. Have a wonderful day, guys, and I will see you tomorrow with a brand new video. Take care.